pozvu první přednášející, kterou rozhodně znáte, neboť zde poprvé, ale po několik které. A je to zástupkyně firmy Knovel. Řada z vás jsou uživatelé tohoto systému. Paní Barbara Dixee pracuje v Knowelu přes 8 let, nebo tak nějak 8 let, řekněme. Je ředitelkou pro akademický sektor z hlediska globálního, mezinárodního a je naší velmi dobrou a milou kolegyní, i pokud se jedná o práci a existenci konzorcia českého a konzorcia slovenského konzorcia. Takže jí tímto předám slovo a vítám jí. Barbara, the floor is yours. Ještě než se připraví, zapomněl jsem možná to hodně důležité, a to je název. Vystoupení v češtině Předplatné elektronických informačních zdrojů v akademickém a komerčním sektoru. V angličtině Leveraging Electronic Resources in the Academic and Corporate Sectors.
So first off, thank you all for spending the afternoon. It's an absolutely gorgeous day in Prague. I do believe one of the most beautiful that I've had in the forum, so I appreciate you coming back after having a wonderful lunch and not going out to enjoy the weather in the beautiful city. I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking to you about Knovel and how it can be used to both help the corporate and the academic markets. So I have the advantage of one of my functions in my job is that I get to travel all over the world and I get to talk to librarians, both in corporate and academic, and listen to the stories they have, the struggles that you face, and many of them are the same, no matter what country you're from. So some of the things that we hear, of course, our budgets are very tight, budgets are being cut. Along with we don't know what to expect, but also there's a lot of talk of how do we best meet the demands of our user community? How do we help the faculty who are more and more desiring to bring real-world problems into the classroom and introduce students to, especially in the engineering, to the types of problems and the types of working experiences that they'll find when they graduate university and go on to their corporate experience. So those are some of the things that we find that are common problems for the academic, and for the corporate. One of the most common problems that we find is because of the economy, there's much more pressure to do more and do it faster and do all of that, but have less errors, so that there's lower rework costs and we can improve the bottom line by doing more creative projects. And of course, one of the many components that impacts that is can the engineers find reliable, accurate information quickly? And Knovel is able to provide that. So Knovel's goal is to be the first place that engineers go to find answers. In order to be the first place that engineers go to find answers, we need to be in the first place engineers are trained to find answers, and that's universities. I believe that it's a goal that we will achieve because Knovel offers a tremendous amount of value, and because we're really the only product that is designed and used and focused specifically on engineers, the engineering community. So this is just to give a little bit of a history. I know that I see many familiar faces, but I'll just go quickly. Knovel has been in business for about 10 years. We do have a global customer base. We have been focused on those 10 years on engineering, as I said. Currently we have over 70 publishers, and those include well-known publishers like we know, but it also includes many of the societies that the content is very important but hard to find. So the collection is quite robust. And one of the things that we're quite proud of is that in those 10 years, Knovel has maintained year to year at least a 90% renewal rate. And what that means is that every year our customers see such a high value in Knovel that they're not dropping Knovel. It's one of the products that they're keeping. And as we go through why they keep them. So, of course, it's also important to know who's using them. And as you can see, I've highlighted just a few of the universities in the Czech and the Slovak Republic that use Knovel. Just over half of the top technical universities in the world are Knovel customers. We're quite proud of that. Obviously, our numbers are better in the United States because we're a U.S. company when we started. And you can see for yourself a few of the academic logos worldwide. And I think it's important also to look at who are some of the companies that are using Knovel, because these are the companies that your students will be graduating, and many of them will be desiring jobs. We work with a lot of the global Fortune 500 companies, a lot of the oil and gas and engineering and design companies that you quite familiar with. So, a lot of people make the assumption that Knovel is just another ebook. And I want to take a few minutes and kind of address that, because I think if that's all you think about Knovel, if you walk away and you think Knovel is just another ebook, you're missing the biggest value that Knovel can deliver to your user community. So Knovel actually has three really important aspects. And if you think of those old three-legged stools, if you sawed off one of those legs from a three-legged stool, it wouldn't have any value. And Knovel's very similar to that. So the first is a validated content. The second is the optimized search. And the third is the analysis tools. And I'll take a couple minutes and just focus on each one of those. And then I'll bring them together at the end. So with the content, as I said, we work with over 70 different publishers. The content is all highly reliable, it's all well-known, all vetted, much of it peer-reviewed. And so it's the only place in the world where you can go to find a comprehensive engineering collection of content that's specifically focused on engineering. We have an advisory board right now with 7 board members, all of them with extensive engineering expertise. We also look to our customer database for references, so that a lot of our customers will say, yeah, you've got this great collection in nanotechnology, but there's just one book that you're missing. And we'll review that and go after and add that. So the combination of our customer feedback from both academic and corporate, and the advisory board and the internal vetting that we do, has brought together to build a collection focused again on engineering that you're not going to find in any single collection anywhere else in the world. And that's a very important part of it, but that's really kind of almost the only part of it that's really an ebook part. The difference is, in order to build a collection on a caliber of what Knovel provides, you would have to go out and have probably at least half of these publishers on an individual contract, which means you have 35 or 40 different platforms that your users would have to learn, and we all know that they're not going to do that. So the next is the search. And the search has been optimized specifically for engineers. So the way we rank relevancy, the way we find data, is all around the way an engineer works and the way an engineer thinks. Knovel is heavily designed based on a user design program. And that's a program where we go out and we actually sit with end users and study what they're doing while they're on Knovel, what they're doing before they go to Knovel, what they're doing after Knovel, so that we can improve the product and enhance and deliver the results that they get. Some of the things that Knovel does that really enhance that is we don't just index the text. We index the numeric data, the equations, and graphs. There's no one else in the world that actually does that. So the content in Knovel becomes discoverable, where in other platforms it's not. And what that allows you to do is you could, let's say that you need a property. And I'm sure many of you have gone through property databases where in print or in PDF, it's thousands of rows long. If you need to find a material in that database or a chemical in that database that meets specific examples or a specific criteria, the only option you have traditionally, whether it's in print or in PDF, is to browse row by row. Knovel actually indexes every row of that so that you can search on a tensile strength and put a range in. You can search for a boiling point, for example, and actually retrieve that specific information. So it allows users to get specific information and get it very quickly. And today's users aren't really looking, they come in and they have a problem, and what they want is a solution to that problem. They want an answer. And they don't really care how they get that answer, they just want the answer and they want it quickly. And that's why we all know Google is so popular with a lot of students, and frankly with a lot of corporate engineers, because they can just quickly get an answer. It may be right, it may not be, and that's the danger of it. With Knovel, they can, because of the tools that we've embedded, they can get an answer very quickly. Another tool that we've embedded that's really powerful and is completely behind the scenes is a built-in unit converter. So if a student types in a boiling point of 100 degrees Celsius, and it doesn't exist in the database in Celsius, but the equivalent Fahrenheit does exist, we will give them the equivalent Fahrenheit and the unit converter so they can see that it's actually the same. In any other database or any other product, that would return a zero result because it would be undiscoverable, simply because of the unit. So the next leg of that stool are the data analysis tools. And the data analysis tools are, I think, the bells and whistles of Knovel, which everybody remembers, and they see it, and it just lights up a room. But when you're an end user and you see what this can do actually for your workflow, if you're a student and you're working on a design project, for example, you want to spend more of your time actually thinking through the project and the design and not have to spend so many hours doing the research to make sure that your design is right. And so Knovel has built in many tables, graphs, equation products that actually allow the data to be manipulated. And I'll be happy to show you live examples if you stop the booth of the tables. So for example, the property database that you know from the book of the PDF in Knovel looks very much like an Excel spreadsheet. It's a live interactive table. You can change the rows, you can manipulate the data, you can sort and filter by the column heads, and it becomes a very powerful tool. All of this can be downloaded. It can also be exported to more usable formats like an HTML or an Excel is the most popular. Excuse me, just a minute, I think I'm losing my earpiece. Much better. And so this takes the data, the graphs, the equations, and the charts that are just static images and makes them usable. And so I'm told by many engineers that there are many equations that they must have within a book, and many times the equation in the print is split across 2 pages. And because the PDF is just a scanned image, in most PDF versions it continues to split that graphic image. And they need to go to great lengths to get a copy to kind of put those 2 pages together. Knovel's made many of those equations live so that they can just click on a hyperlink and go right to a live page, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. So the bottom line with Knovel is what makes it unique and what makes it different than any other product is the way we've integrated the content with the search tools, with the search engine and the data analysis tools. And that combination of those 3 prongs really creates a very unique product that's highly usable for the engineers. So this is an example of equation solving. This is what you would see in a book. This is a scanned PDF taken right out of the book. And you see the red, that's the equation. What Knovel has done is turned it into that. So not only can the user now actually sort specifically for that equation and get a result, but once they get that result, they can manipulate the data. This is another example. This is a calculation, and again, you'll see the blue hyperlink, and that's an indication that it has been made interactive and it is live. And that opens up an Excel spreadsheet that again allows them to manipulate the data. So some exciting things that we're really quite pleased about. Last year, our release of new features and functionality kind of slowed down. And when I was here last year, I think I told you it was because we were doing a lot of work behind the scenes, which we did. And here are some of the highlights of some of the things that we did behind the scenes. Essentially, we took the back end of Knovel and basically rebuilt it from the ground up. And you will see that released in a beta version in mid-June. And for those of you that are customers, this is important. You're already, in mid-June, you'll see this black box that will allow you to begin to go from the current version of Knovel to the version that will become fully implemented in September as a test. And then in September, you'll be able to go back and forth between June and September. And in September, there'll be a brand new platform unveiled. We'll be sending out a lot of announcements and a lot of updates on that platform. So I think it's always important. It's one thing for me to stand up here and say, our product is great. Every salesperson and company representative is going to stand up here and say, our product is great. But I think some comments from users and customers is much more important than what I have to say. So there's a few that I really like. One is, since learning with Knovel, I spent less time finding and verifying sources and more time learning important course material, which is what I'm at school to do. And I think for me, really, that's the bottom line. Gone are the days where there's a great value in students learning to spend hours poring over a book to find an answer, because when they graduate and they go on to the corporate world, the corporations say, look, we don't need students that know how to spend hours doing research. We need students that know how to find the answer, but most importantly, know where to go to find the right answer that's accurate. Because if they can't do that, it costs us a lot of money, and we're frankly not as interested in hiring them as we are the students that can do that. I apologize for the slight. So to me, that's a really powerful one. This one I also like. Knovel is the first place we go to answer chemistry, engineering, and materials-related questions. I almost always find what I'm looking for because I'm able to search across so many different sources, and I know that sources within Knovel are high quality and reliable. And so again, that's customers saying, yes, Knovel, you've done a wonderful job creating an engineering collection and the collection development end, and that's an indication of the work that our editorial advisory board does. So with that, I'd like to ask if there's any questions.
So prosím dotazy. Přehlédl jsem někoho. Signalizujte základě. I would say that one of the most important things in Knovel is the interactive content. It means interactive tables or so-called live equations. What do you expect about the volume of this content? Will it grow?
It will. So last year we added roughly 3,000 new interactive equations and graphs. This year we'll add approximately the same number. And then with the release of the new platform and new backend systems, we'll be able to add them much faster. We will be adding a lot more interactivity to the new titles and new subject areas that were added as we go through the year. We're all glad to have.
Vidím, dotaz?
Is Knovel affordable for small companies, or is the volume licensing better for big companies?
It is. So that's actually a great question. Thank you. So Knovel allows you to pick and choose the subject areas that are actually relevant to your corporation or to your university. So you can purchase anywhere from, for a company, probably $5,000 up, depending on the subject area combination that you choose. And for academic, again, it's very affordable. Pricing is based on the size of the engineering students and faculty. And again, you can also choose the subject areas that you have.
Ještě nějaký dotaz? Abych asi jako moderátor nebo koordinátor téhle sekce měl zůstat nestranný a jako nic nevychvalovat, nic nehánět, což samozřejmě vychází. Ale myslím si, že u Knovelu skutečně je velice mimořádná ta funkce interaktivní, to, co Barbara tady ukazovala, a v tom krátkém čase to možné nebylo u detailů. To znamená, pokud kdokoliv z vás by chtěl vidět Knovel skutečně tak, jak pracuje, zastavte si klidně na stánku, rád to předvedu, protože pohled na diagramy, které nejsou jen maskenované ze stránek faksimilních knih, ale diagramy, se kterými můžete pracovat, můžete si je digitalizovat, tabulky, které jsou opravdu interaktivní, se kterými můžete pracovat, není to jenom fotka tabulky na stránce, tak je opravdu nástroj velice účinný a myslím si, že to tady můžu pochválit i proto, že mě z hlavy opravdu nenapadá konkurence. Nenapadá mě teď z hlavy, když tak mě mluvíte z omylu, jiný producent, který se zabývá podobnou věcí, to znamená, že z elektronických děl navíc, kromě samotného obsahu, ještě vybírá právě ty grafické a jiné dynamické objekty, se kterými uživatel může pracovat naprosto perfektně, ať už přes rozhraní Knowelu, anebo po stažení, po exportu do Excelu. Je to skutečně unikátní nástroj pro inženýrské, technické a přírodní vědy. Takže znova vyzývám nebo zvu všechny zájemce, ať se přijdou podívat, jak se s ním pracuje, a nebo ještě lépe, pokud ten systém neznáte, tak klidně dejte vědět a dostanete ho k vyzkoušení. Tak poslední last call, poslední výzva. Takže asi poděkuji. Thank you very much for that.
We have a proof right before you. We'd love to show you the live equations and interactive